Hello, folks. I hope you are doing great. Today, I want to share a common problem, why some people never become fluent in English. So, without any delay, let's get started with the video. Since I came to the US, I've had the pleasure of talking to a huge number of immigrants. We, of course, discussed a lot of different things, among which naturally was the language. One of the first things people would ask me is, "How's your English?" Because your English would determine the kind of job you can get here, whether you can go to college right away, if you can manage doing basic but necessary tasks like going to the bank, how social you can be, and of course, where you can live. There are diverse states with lots of different communities from all around the world, and there are states where diversity is hardly a priority. I, in turn, would also ask the same question. Unfortunately, I have countless examples by now. It's shocking, actually, of people who've lived here in the United States for many years. Some have even lived here for more than 20 years, and their English is super basic. They know just the most simple phrases and can say the most simple sentences, and even those with mistakes. I got to talk to at least 2 people who've spent pretty much their whole life here, who moved here in their 20s and don't speak a word of English. My main questions are always how and why. The stories they all told me were almost identical in all the cases. They all thought acquiring English would be a piece of cake once they moved to an English-speaking country. But just imagine the situation most people who move to another country find themselves in. According to all of them, you move to an English-speaking country with basic or no English at all and limited resources, which is the case for most people. The first thing you need is to find a job and start working to sustain yourself and your family. As you can't speak English, you can't start working with or for Americans. You can't start working in your profession right away because you need a revaluation of your diplomas and most likely complete some courses to get a license or certification, for which you also need English. So, you find a job in your community of people from your country who speak your native language. There are so many communities of different nationalities in big cities here, which is where most immigrants usually move. You can find literally everything in those communities: restaurants, banks, stores, hotels, and churches. You can find a doctor, a lawyer, or whoever you need who speaks your native language, and you can find a job in those communities. They also move into those communities or close to them because it feels comfortable. Then they start thinking about their English and searching for some courses. However, now they don't have enough time to learn. Here's the kicker. Becoming fluent in English is not merely a matter of living in an English-speaking country. It doesn't matter where you are. You will need to do the same work. You will need to make time and work on your listening and speaking skills, vocabulary, etc. The biggest kicker is that most of this work will have to be done on your own, whether you're here or still back at home. But what all these people told me is that it is so much harder here. You come here and you need to build a new life. It is super difficult. Adaptation, all the worries, a new job, and a new environment take up pretty much all of your time and your brain capacity. Every person I've spoken to says that they regret not working on their English before moving here. Those who couldn't ever become fluent in English say that you just get used to living in your community and speaking your native language, so you eventually don't want to and don't need to come out of your comfort zone. You just kind of start living in your own little bubble. They don't have any desire to make their lives harder than they already are in this new reality, so they just stop trying to learn English altogether. And that's it. Some of those people can understand at least some English or can understand English all right, just like a lot of people watching these kinds of videos in English. They can understand me and other teachers, right? You can watch videos with subtitles, whether in English or your native language. But there's a big but. They still can't speak it. They still can't use it. Their vocabulary and grammar remain basic. Why do you think that is? Here's the thing. When you have at least some exposure to the language, your listening skills develop first. But the gap between those who are exposed to English and have a hard time using it and those who can actually use it lies in active work and practice. Because it's not enough to just listen and read, you need to use the language. Speaking at first will be hard. That's why you'd use shadowing and copying and lots of repetitions of the same things. You do that on your own or with the help of a coach or teacher. Strangers on the streets, in the stores, or coworkers, if you're lucky enough to be hired into an American environment, won't be teaching you, correcting you, or helping you speak. Unfortunately, a language doesn't magically download into your brain when you step foot into an English-speaking country, although that would be nice. Maybe in the future, who knows? I keep saying that you need to and absolutely can learn English in your native country completely on your own. And I should know because I've done this, and if I could, there's no doubt you can too. I share with you everything that I've done on this channel, and believe me, when I came to this country, I thanked God that I was able to do the work and come here with spoken English because I needed it from day one. However, I've noticed there are so many people in the comments who are convinced otherwise and just keep arguing with me whenever I talk about this. For some reason, people think that I'm wishing bad on them or something, as if I want to make them work more than they need to or more than they want to. But all I'm trying to do is to save you time and trouble. You, of course, can take it or leave it. It's totally your choice. But just ask yourself this one question and be honest with yourself. Why do you keep waiting to go live in an English-speaking country to start actively improving your English? My only guess is that maybe you lack motivation and you think that moving to an English-speaking country will push you to learn English because you will have no choice. But as you can see, it's not always the case. But please, share your answers with us in the comments. I think that this can open a very interesting discussion among everyone. Or if you have a friend who thinks like that, try to ask them this question and explain to them why they might be mistaken by giving the examples of those people I talked about in this video. Now, of course, there are also people who become fluent after moving to this country, and I was curious about how they achieved this. They all said the same thing. They needed to take courses and hire teachers, but had to do most of the work themselves, dedicating a lot of time to improving their listening and speaking skills, mostly using YouTube, joining speaking clubs, and seizing every opportunity to speak English. It also took them years of hard work. So, don't just take my word for it. Listen to the testimonies of all those people I talked to. We're not even considering those who come here to study. They obviously arrive with at least the level of English needed to get into college, and then they inevitably improve because they have no choice. They need to study in English. Also, consider all those people fluent in English who have never lived in an English-speaking country, and some have never even visited one. Some had an English-speaking environment, while others didn't, and yet they managed to become fluent in English. All I'm trying to say is that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. Well, that's it for this video. I tried to keep it concise and include just the main points, but of course, I have a lot more to say on this topic. So, let's continue this conversation in the comment section. So guys, comment, like, and subscribe. Until the next one.